It's been 12 months since acquittal, and so much has passed us by. Such a scattering with evidence, and some blatant flat-out lies. There's a special new press sector, and Hank Breeden is his name. He is a dirty Boston lawyer, and his arguments are lame. He's trying to squash all of our experts, as he has no case to claim. He should have won an Oscar medal to convince the court he's sane. He can lie without a conscience and keep that smirk upon his face. I bet he wears those silky undies, the ones with that jean made of lace. And Judge Beverly Academy is so biased for the state, is wading through 100 motions in a rush to seal my fate. So you can bring in Massachusetts, cause we all ain't got no quit. And we all know that the truth is my car is not the thing John hit.
One moment. I'm just having some audio issues, as we do. Might just unplug them and replug them, I think. Oh, hang on. Maybe. Yes. Oh, I think I've got him. Son of a gun. Son of a mongoose. Can't hear a goddamn thing. Hello. Check the other settings. Sorry. This is what happens when you rush. And the body won't let you. Oh, hello, I hear the bell. The bell doth toll thee. Yeah, it does. Shift happens. It just did. Holy crap. Oh, I'm here. I made it. It just depends on your definition of alive. But welcome. Thank you. I have chronic disability, and my body and YouTube time clock just do not mix well at all. Good morning, Missy Moo Moo. And I still can't hear a goddamn thing. Hang on. I know it's because I'm not playing anything, but I can't hear anything in my ears. I should have something. Okay, yeah, that's... Yep. All right. And you guys can hear me okay? I haven't even... The hair is still dripping wet because I just got out the shower. Yay. That's all right. So, let's start fresh, shall we? Hello and welcome to another fun-filled episode of Karen Reid 2.0, brought to you by Dan the Dragon Man, otherwise known as Welsh Network News, and Jodie, the blog without a job, otherwise known as the Defence Press. Welcome. Today we carry on. Leaving off from that riveting testimony yesterday from that guy who I didn't pay enough attention to remember his name. And if you're a nerd, you can look in the description box. He's going to take the stand when I start up. But first, I've just spent the last 2 hours fucking with my printer, pretty much. I had the information. I just couldn't get it to print out. I printed half, so the rest I'm going to have to just wing it on the screen, which I suppose saves a tree. So that's what we're going to do first. Now, I did do an analysis on Mr. Timothy Nuttall initially. This is a new software for me, new everything. So I've been learning as I go. So I've got a few different formats in the way that it's printed out because it's a database that you upload all of the information onto. So I've meticulously put on every single day of trial 1 in there. I even put in all the motions, hearings, the rulings, and as they go through trial 2, I'm uploading them as well. So Timothy Nuttall and Kerry Roberts and Nicholas Carino, Daniel Whitley as well, have all been prior witnesses. So I can actually do a direct comparison between their initial statements in trial 1 and this one. Now, if you watched yesterday and you've seen trial 1, you'll note that Kerry Roberts' testimony was much, much, much more detailed and specific this time around rather than the first time. She wasn't even cross-examined in the first trial, so she didn't like being cross-examined either, not one bit. But she had 3 sessions to prep her for her testimony, because what he's doing, I've noticed, he's calculated, he is methodical, he is there is not one thing that he says or does that is not a strategic move, and he is one step ahead at all times. And I'm getting, my opinion, I'm getting the feeling that the defense is just spending all of its energy putting out spot fires. That's just how I'm feeling, which I don't like, because most of the fires are bullshit. And he's keeping them busy with the bullshit red tape, and they're not concentrating on what they're doing. So, like, what he's asking for in this discovery stuff in the Rule 14, is ARCA by far his biggest threat. So he has meticulously nominated them and gone down the line. And he didn't want them there. That's why he's tried to exclude them, and he couldn't do it on their credibility because they're impeccable. He couldn't do it on their bias because he was, they were engaged before the trial even started, and they knew nothing about the trial. So he found whatever he could, and when he did his presentation, if you note, when he dropped the bomb about them not paying a bill, there was no date on the email and there was no date of the bill. If you notice, why would someone who is so methodical and so particular not have a fucking date on an email? Why? Because he wanted to plant the seed that it was done in a time frame that was not, that made it look like it was the state doing, the defense doing something shifty. So now he's asking for reports and discovery stuff from the ARCA witnesses, who he's kept them tied up in red tapes until the 26th of March. That was the first time that the defense could retain them officially. And now he's asking for reports and stuff that have not even been written yet. And Rule 14 violation. Mind you, his experts are still doing the same thing, but it doesn't seem to. Yeah. Anyway, so that's what really annoys me. It's not. It's the underhandedness that I don't like. It should be. It's never going to be a fair trial when you pay a special. Hello, Griffy. How you going? Welcome. Hello, all from Jason D. Who's Jason D? Nice, nice picture. Is that a selfie or is that? It's Jason D. Spill. Jason D. I don't know who Jason is. Am I supposed to? Should I have said that? Now, did you see where my mind just went then? I questioned myself. Should I have said that? Did I say that? What did I do? Could I have? That is exactly what happened to Karen, but twisted into I hit him. Because I went back through the transcripts and I actually have Kerry Roberts, not Kerry, Jennifer McCabe admitting that was never said. And then Lally said it in his closing statements again. So closing statements are not evidence, so yeah. So defence needs to step up their game because that's what he's getting paid for, darling. He's paid for a conviction. You think she's going to be found guilty? You haven't told me who Jason D is. So I have, whilst I've got Timothy Nuttall's comparison, there wasn't a great deal in it. It was just differences like, the first time he made the statement, he said that she said it once. Then the second time she said it twice, but it was to a woman. And then this time she said it 3 times and it was to him. So little discrepancies like that. Now, Kerry. So let me share this screen. All right. So this is the comparison. I haven't even read this. I've just pulled it up on the screen. I asked what to do with the database, and this is what it's kicked out. Okay. So Kerry Roberts was a close friend of John O'Keefe, having known him since high school. Yes, since they lived in Canton for 10 years and worked as an executive assistant. Husband is Kurt, 2 children. Met Karen Reid in July 2020. Emphasised her close relationship with John, stating he was very close. O'Keefe was on the emergency contact list for her children. Yeah. So, consistent in both trials. She was awakened up by a call from Karen at 5 a.m. on January the 29th. So that was the same in both. Karen was frantic, initially shouting, "John's dead, Carrie," then hung up. Carrie, then hung up. Karen called back about 5 minutes later, expressing fear that John might be dead or hit by a plough. After calls from Karen, Roberts made calls to hospitals and Canton non-emergency lines. Karen called saying that she was at Jennifer McCabe's house, and Roberts drove there to meet them. After not finding him at his house, Karen directed them to 34 Fairview Road, where they found John. Now, people are making that out to be, how did she know that he was there? She knew exactly where to find him. Well, where would you look? The last place you dropped them off, maybe? Last place you saw them alive? Just, I don't know, putting that out there. That'd be where I'd be going. you've already gone through the house and made sure that he's not passed out on a bed and tried to contact him and anyone you know, then you go back to where you started and work backwards. I don't see anything sinister with that. I do believe that she was far more intoxicated than she's either let on or believed, because there's not a lot of her. So if she can't remember, we drank so much I don't remember anything from last night. It was something that she said on one of the calls, which was this is additional stuff that she's added now from her testimony from trial 1 to trial 2. Hello, Jason D. Now, I'm trying to work out who you are because, the trial has started, has it? Shoot. I've got an OnlyFans still. Where have I met you from? Because Griffey is still yet to spill the beans. Oh, Dan. Dan is probably going to be late today. I started early, so don't stress. He'll be here. So, how did you stumble across us? Are these people in Dan's chat? Because they must be. They must be, yeah. They must be. And Dan's not here yet, so, and because I'm hosting, I can see them all. He won't be far, but I've got the feed on here and I'm watching, and I still have a fan. Has Dan gone sailing his yacht? Was he mowing the grass at the castle? Neither of the above, I don't think. That's my screen gone. And that one. So this is additional stuff that she has said. I'll be able to see those. I need a screen. I've done it. Okay. Just like that. And like that. But I think you'll see it now. Okay. She described her husband trying to discourage her from going out in the blizzard. So provided more detailed description of entering O'Keefe's house through the garage, added that Jen ran upstairs to Kaylee's bedroom where Karen was just standing there in John's room, not actively searching. Well, she's in shock. She's just looking there. Oh. I'm watching it, darling. There is a fan. I swear. Oh, no, I've got Bev now. All right. All right.
Investigation into
There we
this
go.
case.
We haven't missed anything.
Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively.
Everybody's
Did anyone
yes.
happen to see, hear,
I'll
or read
allow
anything
that.
about this case since we left here yesterday? No. Everyone said no or should. Thank you very much. Can we bring Mr. Whitley back in, please?
So, this is the Victorian.
Christina, you can step up to the podium.
Daniel Whitley, firefighter.
Sir, I'll remind you, you're still under oath.
Thank
Thank you.
Sarah, I'll remind you these two important facts.
Can I proceed?
Yes.
Mr. Whitley, yesterday you testified that when Karen Reed was brought to the hospital, she didn't want to get into a hospital Johnny and she didn't want to give a urine sample. Do you recall that testimony?
I do.
It was clear to you that her reluctance to cooperate at that time was because she very much wanted to check on John's progress and status at the hospital, correct?
No, I don't believe that to be the case.
Well, you testified before the grand jury regarding this matter 3 years ago, didn't you?
I don't believe I said that she was
I
reluctant.
didn't ask you that question. You testified before the grand jury 3 years ago, didn't you?
I testified before the grand jury 3 years ago.
You were under oath then, as you're under oath today, correct?
Correct.
You swore to tell the truth.
I am telling the truth.
You swore to tell the truth in 2022 before the grand jury, did you not?
I did.
That was less than 3 months after you brought Karen Reed to the hospital, didn't you?
Yeah.
And your memory of what happened at the hospital was very good in April of 2022, right?
As good as today.
Your memory in April of 2022 was very good, wasn't it?
It was very good as it is today.
Okay, so you want to add the as it is today, despite the fact that you weren't asked that question. Is that right?
Sustained.
All right. When questioned by Mr. Lally at the grand jury, you were asked the following question. So what, if any, interaction did you have with her, meaning Ms. Reed, at the hospital once you were there? You remember that question, right?
I do.
And your answer was, so after that, I helped escort her down to, they call it the psych hallway, where they have rooms set up for psychiatric patients for their evaluation. And then she was unhappy
I don't know,
that she wasn't
sweetheart.
able to see him, meaning John.
I know he hasn't
And
been
she
well,
kept
but
trying
he'll
to.
be
She
here
didn't want to
eventually.
get into a hospital Johnny. She didn't want to, I believe, give a urine sample. She was not, the nurses were asking her to do certain things that every patient has to do, and she was not cooperating with them. Do you remember that answer?
I do.
So 3 years ago, when you testified about this issue of giving a urine sample, you testified under oath that you believed that she didn't want to give a urine sample, correct?
Correct.
Yesterday, 3 years later, you testified with certainty that she didn't want to give them, right?
Yeah, she was giving them a hard time about having to give a urine sample.
Right. No, I'm asking you about your testimony yesterday in contrast to the grand jury, sir.
Okay.
To the extent that I ask yes or no question, I'd like yes or no answers.
So
okay?
no instructions to the witness, Ms.
Your
Giannetti.
Honor, may
Ask
the
a
witness be
question.
instructed to answer the question yes or no if it calls for a yes or no question. Answer.
Answer the question that's asked of you, okay?
Okay.
So go ahead, ask a question.
You testified yesterday that she didn't want to give a urine sample without saying it was your belief that she didn't want to give one, correct?
Correct.
In any case, were you aware that when she was asked to give a urine sample, that Ms. Reed had gotten her period and did not have a tampon?
Oh,
I was aware she was on her period. Yes.
You're also aware that when somebody is brought to the hospital for a Section 12, they have no privacy. Isn't that right?
They have medical privacy. Either the tech or the nurse would be with the patient at all times.
Okay. With them at all times, observing them at all times, correct?
So they wouldn't be, she wasn't in like a hallway open to the public.
Understood, sir. But she also, when I said privacy, what I was asking is, she was not allowed to go to the bathroom alone to give a urine sample, correct?
She was a psychiatric patient.
Right. So she would have to use the bathroom in front of hospital personnel or some medical personnel with people watching her while she was on her period with no tampon, correct?
I would understand that to be true.
All right. And you're aware that she did cooperate and eventually give a blood sample as well, correct?
I'm not aware of a blood sample, but urine sample, yes.
She did give the urine sample.
Correct.
All right. Now, in your testimony yesterday, you discussed the topic of your memory of what Karen Reed may have asked you about John surviving in the snow with light clothing. You remember those questions?
I remember asking about not having a jacket, correct?
Now, starting at the end of the day, when I cross-examined you yesterday, I asked you about that topic, and I said to you, you mentioned something about hypothermia, that you assumed you may have been dealing with a hypothermia situation. And your answer was, well, she said that he had been out in the snow without a jacket for many hours, correct?
Correct.
But before I cross-examined you at the end of the day yesterday, you previously testified 3 times about this topic, correct?
I believe it would be the grand jury and the previous trial.
Right, and
Does anyone know if you can actually get the grand jury transcripts from anywhere, or where to get them? Because I would really, really like to get my hands on some of them, if I can. That would be very, very handy to add into the database. Very.
direct examination when Mr. Brennan was asking you questions before I stood up, correct?
Okay, yes.
Let's start with the first time you testified about this topic back in 2022. That was, again, less than 3 months after you had a conversation with Ms. Reed at the scene on January 29th, correct?
Correct.
Her statements and questions to you at the scene were fresh in your mind in April of 2022, correct?
Correct.
In April of 2022, before the grand jury, Mr. Lally asked you, quote, what, if any, questions did she ask you regarding hypothermia? Do you remember that question?
I do.
Your answer was, she was just wondering if he could have survived outside in the cold even though he didn't have a jacket on. Do you remember giving that answer?
I do.
Nowhere in that answer in 2022, less than 3 months after these events, do you attribute the words, quote, many hours, end quote, in the snow to Ms. Reed, correct?
Yes, I was not.
I'm not asking for an explanation, sir. I'm asking for an answer.
All right. So he was answering you, Mr.
My
Yannetti.
question called for a yes or no answer. Nowhere in your answer in 2022 do you attribute the words many hours in the snow to Ms. Reed, yes or no?
No, I did not say that at that point.
Nowhere in your answer in 2022 do you testify that Ms. Reed told you he had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
She did. At that-
Sir, I'm asking you about your testimony.
I object.
So let him answer the question.
Let me ask it again. Nowhere in your answer in 2022 did you testify that Ms. Reed told you he had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
In 2022, I testified that I was just told to be brief and give generalizations. She quantified many hours in the snow when we were in back of the
Let me
ambulance.
try this again, sir.
So,
because
Mr. Yannetti, you're just saying 2022. Get to a date
Of course,
and a
yes.
place.
April of 2022, okay, before the grand jury. My question again, and I'm still seeking a yes or no answer from you, okay? Nowhere in your answer in April of 2022, before the grand jury, did you testify under oath that Ms. Reed told you that John had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
Not in 2022 of April, no.
Okay. The next time you testified under oath was last year in 2024, correct?
Correct.
During that testimony, Mr. Lally asked you, oh, by the way, so 2022 is no mention of many hours, right?
I did not, and I was told to be brief on the grand jury stand.
But again, no mention of
Right.
many hours in 2022. Okay. Now, 2024, last year, Mr. Lally asked you, so firefighter Whitley, at some point, specific to your conversations with the defendant, Ms. Reed, can you describe sort of her demeanor or any observations you made in relation to that as you were speaking with her? And your answer was, yes, she was very upset. She kept asking if there was any chance. She kept asking us if we knew if the person ambulance 1 had transported was alive or dead, and we could not speak to that. She asked if somebody could be alive in the snow without a jacket for many hours, correct?
Correct.
So 2022, there was no mention of many hours. 2024, over time, now that's the first time that you mention the words many hours in your testimony regarding this case, correct?
Correct.
All right. And when you testified last year, you testified still that she was asking you a question about surviving in the snow, correct?
Correct.
So then we come to yesterday on direct examination. Do you recall that Mr. Brennan yesterday asked you, before you left, were you having any conversations with the defendant? And you answered yes. Recall that yesterday?
Is that at the hospital?
I'm asking you yesterday, do you recall Mr. Brennan asking you
Hello and welcome
before
to
you left essentially the scene, were you having any conversations with the defendant? And your answer was yes.
You're talking about Lee, I'm just trying to make sure we're talking about the same instance. Are we talking about when we left the hospital or when we left Fairview Road?
When you were at Fairview Road, leaving Fairview Road, we're talking about the same subject of what Ms. Reed supposedly told you or asked you. Okay, Mr. Brennan went into that with you.
So on the way to, you're talking on the way to the hospital in terms of left, when we left.
Well, before you left, he meant before you left the scene.
Okay,
When
no,
you
I'm
were-
just trying to clarify.
Again, it's the same conversation, Mr. Whitley. I'm not
So,
trying to trick you.
Mr. Yannetti, he just asked for a point of reference. It's clear. Now go.
Understood. And Mr. Brennan said, can you
Hopefully not.
share with the jury what those conversations were about? And your answer was, so we were talking, she was upset. She kept asking if there was any chance her husband could be alive, even sitting
Hey,
outside in the
Bri.
snow without any coat for many hours. Do you recall that answer
Down
that you
to
gave
work,
yesterday
lovely.
on direct examination?
Yes.
And that was the first time that you mentioned that she said supposedly or asked supposedly about him sitting outside in the snow, correct?
I was just using phrases generally speaking.
Not my question.
I wasn't at that point I was paraphrasing. I was not speaking verbatim to what she said.
Let's try that again. That was the first time that you mentioned that she claimed or asked that he was sitting outside, correct?
It could have been sitting, laying, being.
Let's try it a third time.
So
Was
just ask the question, not let's try it.
Sure.
Let's try it.
Was
He's
that
mixing
the
it up.
first time
Can't get an
that
answer.
you testified under oath that Ms. Reed said or asked about him sitting outside?
Are you asking me to clarify whether she used the
I'm not
word
asking you
sitting?
to clarify anything.
Fucking hell.
I'm asking you whether that was the first time yesterday during direct examination that you mentioned that she asked about him sitting outside.
I'm sorry. I am very confused because I'm trying to figure out if he was being outside, sitting outside.
I'm asking you about Ms. Reed's statements, sir. That's all I've been asking you about. Her
Okay.
statements to you and your testimony about her statements to you. Was yesterday on direct examination the first time that you testified under oath
Mhm.
that Ms. Reed mentions the words sitting outside?
Oh,
I don't know.
oh, look what the cat dragged in. Good morning, sir.
Hello.
How you doing?
Just home. Yay.
You've been harassed in chat. Apparently, you've been out doing what have you been doing? You've been looking through the trash at a dog shelter where you're having puppies or at the food bank,
Okay. Cool.
renovating your castle. So you're good.
Yeah, you.
Excellent. Good. You haven't missed anything except for he's getting his knickers in a twist big time because this witness is just not like not giving him the yes no answers. He's giving him the runaround. He's getting really shitty. So what turned out a boring witness yesterday is now entertaining. So who will listen?
I'm just using She might have said laying outside, being outside, outside.
Okay, so when you testified yesterday before this jury
Yes,
that she mentioned the words sitting outside, you're now saying that that might not have been accurate, correct?
it could have been a different word.
Oh,
But you didn't say it could have been a different word yesterday. You just left it as sitting outside, correct?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I said. Sitting.
All right, so now we get from, the
Ah.
grand jury with many hours mentioned to questions about many hours to sitting outside to let's talk about what you said on cross-examination.
I object.
Okay, the objection sustained.
Sure. On cross-examination, your words were,
see if I can find it.
she said he had been out in the snow without a jacket on for many hours, correct?
She had asked if he had been outside.
Oh, yes
if,
or no?
If there was any chance he could be alive, even though he was outside without a jacket for many hours.
So it always was a question, correct?
It was a question.
She never said what you said on cross-examination yesterday, which was she said that he had been out in the snow without a jacket on for many hours. That was not a declarative statement by Ms. Reed, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow that. Was that a declarative statement by Ms. Reed?
She asked if he could be alive without a jacket in the snow for many
All right,
hours.
so again, it was a question, sir.
She asked me, and we were just trying to give her hope in terms of telling stories of hypothermic patients that could survive outside in the snow.
Okay, is there any redirect?
Briefly.
Okay.
Trying to find this sentence from yesterday. And found it, but
When you were called to the grand jury, was the testimony as in-depth and as long as it is in front of this jury?
Not even close.
When you're recounting your memories of what happened, do you memorize word for word what you've said in the past?
Objection.
As to that form, it's sustained.
When you're recounting the past, do you record your statements personally?
Objection.
I'm going to let that one. Do you record your statements?
No,
Next question.
When you testified in the grand jury, page 90, line 15, and you said the defendant told you, "I'm upset if he dies, I want to die." And then you later testify
right, then, not
last year, and you said, "If my husband dies, I want to die." Do you notice the little differences between those phrases?
I do.
Is that you making up words?
No,
Is that you trying to help a case?
Objection.
As to form, that's sustained.
Are you inventing facts?
no,
Sir, when you were recounting what happened that day, are you using your best memory?
Objection.
what as opposed to your
When
bad
you were
memory.
asked by the defendant
Nah, I chose to use my shit memory yesterday.
about how long, or someone out in the snow without a jacket for many hours, do you remember that conversation with her?
I do.
Where were you during that conversation?
We were in the back of the ambulance.
Do you remember it distinctly?
I remember it distinctly. She was looking at me.
When you tried to give her hope and comfort, and you told her stories about other situations where people, maybe children, have fallen through the ice and had hypothermia, did you have that conversation with her in trying to comfort her?
I did.
Do you remember that conversation?
I do.
Did you necessarily share those conversations with the grand jury?
I don't recall if I did or I didn't.
Did you ever write that in your report?
No,
Is that something you typically put everything in your report?
no, we do not write. Generally, we only write patient complaint, what happened, what they did, not their opinions or anything like that to what's going on.
Do you have any interest in the outcome of this case?
I do not.
How long have you been a firefighter for?
Since March of 2006, and an EMT since November of 2002.
Over 20 years.
Correct.
You said that you
11:22.
live near Kerry Roberts?
Welcome.
I do.
You've been to a block party for the kids where you've brought the fire engine down?
I do.
I'm going to allow it.
When you're at that block party, do you ever step out and have secret meetings with Kerry Roberts trying to corroborate some conspiracy on their behalf?
No. No.
Put your career on the line? No further questions.
Any follow-up, Ms. Giannetti?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Firefighter Whitley, you are all set.
Dan, would you like to give Griffey and Jason some instructions on how to give you a super chat?
I have monetization turned off for these. So
Oh,
they
how
can't
come?
on mine.
How come?
I just
Why?
didn't turn it on. I didn't want it on for these.
So, well, I did because it's my first one, so there's that. So how do they do it otherwise? Can they still go down to the bottom of chat, of their chat, or not? They'd have to come into mine, wouldn't they?
They'd have to either come into yours or I can turn stream elements on. Hang on.
Oh, don't stress. Don't be. Yes, the like button and the sub button really helps. Believe it or not. Right. Well, that was interesting. I was having a think about it this morning before you came on, and I was explaining that Hank is methodically, bit by bit, tying up every little loose end. You know, any of those questions you had, why would Jen McKay go to Officer Lank's place? And you know, he's very, very, very thorough, micromanaging, and yeah, he's on the ball big time. What's stream elements?
It's a way of doing super chats without YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That sounds good.
And stops YouTube taking 30% of them.
Yeah. What? So you just have a stream elements account and you just put that link in? Well, why didn't you tell me? I would have put that link in for you.
That's all right. I hadn't even thought about it.
Well, you can pin them to your channel, I suppose, can't you? I just put our channel names in there. That's all I could think of. I wonder who's up next.
Like to play clip 5, Your Honor?
Oh. Have a video. Be another one of the documentary things. Yep. He's strategically placing them with every witness.
And his mother leans over the kitchen island and says to me, I think it looks like he got hit by a car. It looks like he got hit by a car.
All right, who's your next witness, Mr. Brennan?
Next witness is Jean DeMoulis.
DeMoulis. Jean DeMoulis. Not when I recall. Jean DeMoulis. Come on down.
Okay.
Sidebar. Doing the sidebar.